Take you for a walkthrough on this so you guys can see what's going on. There's 540 feet of French drain, so this is a really big system. We're gonna have the center line coming right through here and going around the house, and then we're gonna have a line on a V shape, guys. Okay, we're gonna do that here. We're gonna come up here. Want to do the same thing. We want to do another V pattern. We're going to do that 3 times in here because this is pretty bad. As you can see, we got ducks. We got a lot of water in here. So we want to take the main line right out through here. You know, and then we'll do another V shape there. We want to catch all this water. We come through here. And this whole area is really bad. Same thing. When you get over here, the grade goes up. You come down here, you're in the flat area. You come up here, the grade goes up again. So we want to use this slope to our advantage. We want to do a line like this. We want to do a line like this. We're going to have a center line run all the way around the house. Okay, guys?
Welcome to the French Drain Man channel. I'm your host, Robert Sherwood. We have a good one for you. We have 540 feet of French drain. We're working for 2 property owners. This development was designed to where water naturally flows through the backyards of everybody's properties, and it finds its way to the front yard by going in between 2 homes. This is common. We see it a lot. And usually as years go by and landscapes are put in and trees have grown really big and roots underneath the ground surface grow really, really big, and you have all this wood underground now lifting the ground above, it changes the way it was originally intended to drain, and water starts to get hung up, and there's issues. We have a little bit of slope that we're using for our trunk line, our main line. And then you're going to see how we branch off of that main line, that trunk line. You're going to see how we go ahead, and it's almost like a V formation. We're catching all the water, and since we have grade, a little bit of fall, a little bit of slope in 2 different directions, we want to maximize the velocity that we move the water by utilizing the little bit of slope that we have in those 2 directions. We have this trunk line dead center, and you can see all the French drains branching off that main. Here, I'm going to explain to you what's going on.
All the property that you can see off into the distance, all of it drains this way. That's how this development was intended to drain. All the land that you see off into the distance, all that water, all that runoff finds its way down to this end of the development. Problem is, it's getting hung up in here. We're having so much water hung up in here that the homeowner can't mow it. They've been having to leave this during their routine mowing, and then about all you can do is get in here with a weed whip, and that's when you can walk in here. Now, these trees didn't help matters any. These trees got big. They lifted the ground basically and changed how things were supposed to drain. But because this house is the last piece of property, this is as low as it basically gets. All this water comes through here. During a really, really hard rain, a torrential rain, it'll actually flow water on top of the surface. And then it goes around the house, out to the front, where there's a storm drain. What we're going to do is we're going to put in a system where we can catch all this water. Now, we have some grade here, we have some grade here. So we're going to take advantage of that. We have some slope here too, but we want to make it so that the water drains efficiently. It doesn't just get caught up in the turf grass and just hang around. We want to evacuate it really, really quick. So we designed a system where you have a main running through the center, and then we have all these feeders going to the main trunk line. We're using the grade so that we can pick up velocity. We want to move the water quickly and swiftly, taking advantage of what slope is available. This works. I can't emphasize enough, if you have a situation like this, where you have a real wet area and you have some fall, when we run a system like this, a main trunk line up the center, feeders on an angle, we catch all the water. It gets caught in the system. We evacuate it quickly. It moves very efficiently.
Now take note of this crew of veterans. They're working their way up into the wettest part of this job. This way, as they hit the areas where there's water, they're draining it out. If you start where it's the wettest, you're not going to be able to drain anything out. You're just going to sit there spinning your wheels in the mud. It's just not an economical way of going about doing a job like this. So always plan your job in the most efficient manner. Start your job probably where you'd least likely expect to start it. They started this job at the street. They cored into a storm drain and they worked their way down the side of the house, around the corner of the home, up through this valley, through these two backyards. Now, as they hit pockets of water, areas of saturation, it can drain out to the front yard and improve the worksite conditions. Now, always remember to use a good drainage fabric, a good non-woven geotextile filter fabric. This is not a weed barrier. This is a professional grade drainage fabric, purpose-built. There's thousands and thousands of construction fabrics out there. Make sure you don't make the mistake of putting all your sweat equity into a job and use the wrong fabric. Now, we're building this out of a 6-inch pipe. The yellow Boffman Gold, the premium, virgin yellow, no recycled materials. I don't recommend homeowners, DIYers, to build a 6-inch system. 3-inch pipe is the easiest system to put in. 4-inch pipe is the next level. And then 6-inch is heavy commercial. It's construction grade. And I really don't recommend DIYers and homeowners using this pipe for an installation. You have to remember, these are strong construction guys that are out doing this every day. Their bodies are used to this. You can see how heavy this big 6-inch pipe is. You can see how all the guys got to work together when it comes to handling this pipe. It's not DIY friendly, and I've done plenty of videos on quad packs. A quad pack is when you build a big system out of 4-inch pipe. It's replacing the 6-inch pipe and then some. It's easy to work with when compared to the 6-inch pipe. Now remember to always use Ys. Do not use Ts. When you use Ts, the water just slams to a stop. When you use a Y, the water just flows and you keep the velocity, you keep the water moving, you keep your gallons per minute up. Again, you can just see the guys working together as a team to get this pipe in place. When you use 6-inch pipe on a farm in agriculture drainage, it's put in mechanically. You have tile plows and different types of machinery that puts the 6-inch pipe in. However, when you're putting in yard drains, everything is placed in by hand, making these 6-inch systems sometimes quite the struggle. It's also difficult to handle those big coils as a DIYer. Again, I can't emphasize enough, if you're going to do a DIY project, stick with the 3-inch or 4-inch systems. It's super easy to get the same volume, the same velocity, everything. Just use the same design that we're using. Now, stagger your Ys when you're doing a main with some feeder pipes coming off of it. Stagger those fittings. You don't want your fittings stacked on top of one another. You have a feeder French drain coming into the main on the left side. You got a feeder on the right side. Just don't have them directly across one another because your fittings will be on top of one another. It's going to make your job really difficult. You can see here how nice that was to put those two Y fittings on those two feeders to that main. Again, you can see the men working as a team trying to handle this 6-inch pipe. It's going to be hand placed. This entire system is going to be hand placed. The pipe is heavy, it's not very flexible, and it's really difficult to work with. I get asked a lot, why aren't you using your blue pipe? Well, in a lot of cases, when we're draining acreage, sometimes hundreds of acres through these developments, we want to bump it up to the 6-inch pipe for multiple reasons. I want the flow rate. I want the airspace. I want to air prune any tree roots that try to get in this. A quad pack does the same thing. To complicate matters even more, there was a spring where the ducks were in the beginning of this video. There's a spring and it's going to run 24/7, 365. We want to have a really heavy, thick pipe like the Baughman Premium Yellow 6-inch commercial, so that when tractors are trying to mow that area, that spring with that seepage year-round coming out of the ground, this system's going to grab up that water and evacuate it quickly. But there's always going to be some soft ground where that spring is. There's always going to be an area that possibly the weight of the tractor could damage the system. So that's why we chose the Baughman Premium Yellow 6-inch Virgin Yellow. Now remember, when you're putting in an aggregate in your French drain system, you want to stay away from pea stone and you want to stay away from fine small stone. You can see in this French drain system we have 1.5-inch round rock. We're going to get bigger voids to move more water when we have larger aggregate. When you have small aggregate, you don't have very big voids in between the stones. You're going to move less water, it's going to flow water slowly, and it's going to stay damp, which means tree roots are going to love to grow in it. With the 1.5-inch round rock that we're using, not only will it not compact like crushed stone, it'll stay nice and loose and it won't end up compacting, but you're going to have these big air pockets. Roots cannot live and grow in air pockets. They just end up air pruned off during the drought season. This is a self-maintaining system when it comes to building around trees. Anytime you're building around trees, you have to have a lot of air. That means big aggregate and multiple pipes typically. If you're putting in a 4-inch system, put in at least 2 pipes. You can put in 2, 3, and yes, even 4 as a quad pack. That creates so much air that when the tree roots try to get inside your system, they just end up drying up and falling off. I get asked in the comments sections on a lot of videos, how do you burrito wrap these areas where you have a feeder French drain coming into the main? No magic here. You're going to have to cut an additional piece of fabric to lay on the top once you've pulled it all together. There'll be a little area that you do have to put a separate piece on top. If you found any of this information helpful, give us a thumbs up. It supports the channel. And if there's a video you want me to make, leave your suggestions in the comments section. I'm your host, Robert Sherwood, and until that next video,